Hey, this is Learning Again with Truly Writer. Again, Truly Jacob Writer is my pen, writing, and media name, so you probably won't see my face. We're going to pick up where we left off. Big Thoughts for Little People, Kenneth N. Taylor, ABCs to help you grow. So let's continue on. Again, we're going to start by comparing scripture with scripture. So we left off with the letter N. So happy are the kind and merciful, Matthew 5:7. So again, they reference the Living Bible. It is paraphrased. Matthew 5, verse 7. Happy are the kind and merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. So, that's how it's supposed to work. If you're nice to others, you receive mercy, kindness to you. So if that's not what happens when you're kind and nice to other people, then I guess something is wrong with the society that you live in. So the next letter is O. O is for obey. When you do as you're told, it makes parents glad. They won't spank you or scold. God tells us to obey our parents. He says this is very important because our parents know what is best for us. We will be happiest if we obey our parents. God says that fathers and mothers should punish their children when they don't obey. If you are punished, it will help you remember to obey your parents. And after they have punished you, your parents will give you a big hug and tell you how much they love you, and then everyone will be happy. Okay. So let's just look at everything. Where do you think the little girl is going? To her room? Upstairs? Who knows what's upstairs? Depending on the house. What does God say your parents should do if you don't obey? I don't know, we haven't read the Bible verse yet, so it seems like maybe we should read the Bible verse that they're giving us. Children, obey your parents. This is the right thing to do. Ephesians 6:1. So it's just making a blanket statement. Obey your parents no matter what. Okay. Who is happy when you obey? Your parents and apparently God. Okay. So now life is life, and you have to take things into perspective. You need the whole big picture. Okay. So if you have real biological genetic parents and they love you and they're doing their best to guide you and love you and help you grow and learn and be the person you were designed to be, that's personalities and everything, and they accept you for who you are, then it's like, is obeying your parents really gonna be a problem because you have this great, awesome relationship with your parents? You just automatically obey your parents no matter what. What if your parents got into this really bad religious group and there's tons of false doctrines? Is it really a good idea to just automatically obey your parents if they're telling you to do something that is wrong? No. So you have to take things into whole, you have to look at the whole big picture and not just make this blanket statement. Always obey your parents. always obey those in authority. Well, what if someone who's put them in a position of authority isn't thinking things through, and they come up with this really wrong concept where it's like, no, that's really bad. We shouldn't do that. You should think this through a little bit more, right? So, um, there was this implied thing through, again, this is a Christian book that is supposed to teach good morals and the alphabet at the same time. There is no audio given with this book. So it's a question of like, well, if you were raised Christian, you hear different sermons, you hear different people give their testimony of how they've raised their kids or whatever. And some people actually told stories about how they weren't just the only ones that were adults and be like, you can only learn from me. They had an attitude of, I can learn something from my children too. So it was like they gave illustrations and examples in their personal relationship with their kids that it's it wasn't just one-sided. So there could be this thing that parents um there could be this thing with the role of being a parent that a creator, a designer did make parents. They gave parents the ability of, okay, these are your kids. They have your genetics. They have your DNA. So you're going to be able to love them more unconditionally. And if they do something wrong, you're going to try to instill good morals into them and be like, think this through. Why is this wrong? Does this concept hurt someone else? If you hit someone, like, how are they going to feel? That kind of thing. So if a parent tells you don't hit someone, if a parent says do your homework, and they have your best interest at heart, it's like, well, if you do this homework, it's gonna make you more successful. It's gonna help you to learn how to do more fun things, and then you're not going to be bored. You're going to have tons of things to do after you do this homework, for fun. Then yeah, I'd say listen to your parents, because they have your best interest at heart. But there could be this thing of like, okay, let's push to do homework. If there's no fun, then it's like, yeah, like, maybe that's why, kids may rebel at times, because they want to have fun too. It's like, it's one thing to do homework and learn something, but it's like, what is the fruits of doing that labor? What is the benefits? For if you're doing tons and tons and tons of homework, and then you don't get success in your life, it's like, well, is there homework missing? What's going on? Where the details of the how to do this properly to be successful? So you have to take everything into consideration. What is the whole context of obey your parents? Now, if your parents have successful knowledge and it's 100% correct, and they want to give you that knowledge and it will bring you success, and they're like, learn this. It may not be fun in the beginning, but they can try to tell you the benefits of, if you learn this, then you get to do this, and this, and this. Well, if it's not a concept that you understand at the time, they may have to show you a visual pictures on the screen, or a video, or pictures in a book, because then that would motivate you to do your homework. So if your parents have the proper materials, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna want to obey your parents. Now, if it's a difference of opinion of like, okay, I would like to do this activity with you, you don't know how to do this yet, well, if something else catches your interest first, then it's like, you need to respect your parents, right? And have a calm voice and be like, well, mom and dad, daddy and mommy, father and mother, I I would really like to do this other thing first. Like I'm really, really drawn to that. I'm open to doing that. Or can I learn how to do this and this? But I really want to be able to do this thing. You need to like talk to your parents and work through a compromise or whatever, because you could be in the mood to do a certain fun activity and they could be in the mood to do other fun activities, and you may not be in agreement. So it's like respectfully communicating, hey, this is what I want to do. It doesn't mean I don't want to do things with you that are fun too. So it depends. But if like there is like morals of like wrong morals being taught and your parents have wisdom, to be like, that is wrong. It's like, yeah, if they explain to you why it's wrong and they're like, you shouldn't do that thing, then definitely obey your parents. But they should communicate that to you and talk to you, and it shouldn't be just do what I tell you because I said so. I'm the boss, Like, is that really a good parenting style? I mean, because when anyone talked to me about what is right, what is wrong, and they're like, this is wrong, and they told me a bunch of reasons why, and then you're allowed to process it and reason and comprehend what they're saying and think it through, you pretty much come to the same conclusion, like, yeah, it is wrong. I don't want to do something that's wrong. I want to do the things that are right. So, there are people in my life right now, they call themselves my parents. They may not understand that parents is pronounced wrong. And so they're claiming to be my biological and genetic parents, my father and my mother, my mommy and my daddy, my mom and dad, and they haven't taken a DNA genetic test to prove that we are truly genetically related to each other or we have the same DNA. So they're just wanting me to trust their word that they're my parents without scientific evidence. And I've seen movies and stuff where if you pay enough money, you can get an authentic birth certificate or legal binding documents. If you pay enough money, someone can forge them for you. So without the scientific evidence, I'm sorry, like a birth certificate could be false, and then it got into the record, it got into the system, and they're like, oh yeah, these are your parents, so it's like, I need the proof that they're legitimate my parents. But literally I was raised in a way where it's like, just take my word for it, just take my word for it, just take my word for it. But come to find out, it's like they don't even pronounce the alphabet properly. um it's like there's a lot of miscommunication with the people who claim to be my parents. And it's like, do we really speak the same language? It keeps coming up of like, I don't think we really are. I don't think we know how to communicate with each other at all, because it seems like the majority of the time they're just like telling me what to do, but do they even understand what they're telling me to do? And they told me, do this and do this and do this and do this to be successful, but they didn't teach the how to details of how to be successful. They didn't teach the how to details of how to speak properly to be even successful in communicating properly. So it is what it is, but you do have to be careful with communication and with parents and authority and grandparents. It's like, well, if you really value being a grandparent or a parent, or someone that's older than someone else, and you want to instill wisdom and knowledge, it's like, well, you have to teach the children, the teenagers properly. You can't like just, hey, make a pencil. Here are the things of the, what's it called? The materials to make a pencil, and then be like, okay, you know how to do this, go do it. Here's a book. Go, teach yourself. Well, it's like, isn't there some level of starting out where it's like you have to start out somewhere and your parents actually teach you how to do specific things? They don't just hand you a book and be like, okay, you're on your own. I'm not going to teach you how to do anything, but that's pretty much how the people who claim to be my parents' parenting style was. It's like, here's the book. Oh, I showed you how to sweep a little bit. Okay, now you're responsible for sweeping the whole kitchen floor and mopping it because I taught you how to do it a little bit. And then they don't do it like the majority of the time, and they put that responsibility on you. So it's like you weren't working together as a team. There wasn't this like family unit of like, we're going to work together, we're going to get to know each other, we're going to care and love each other, or we're going to like have a fun, we're going to make the best of life, we're going to do fun activities together. And most of the time it was like I was in my room alone. They supplied food, water, clothes, when I was in elementary school and high school. And as soon as I was 18, they're like, okay, you need to get a job and get out there and work. But again, the people that, were supposed to train you how to do certain skills for work, they skipped like all the details of how to be effective in your job and to do it safely. And even if you shadowed someone for a day, it's like, okay, let's tag team and get this work done. It's like, okay, yeah, thanks, I can do that. But then it's like, well, I really needed someone to watch me and be like, okay, this is how you do it by yourself. I'm going to pretend like I'm not here. Okay, now do the work. And it was like, well, because they never did that, it was like they expected me to do a certain amount of stuff in a certain amount of time. And it's like I really needed an extra half an hour, but they didn't want to pay for the extra half an hour. And it's like, but I needed the extra half an hour to get everything done that you're required to get done, because I was also trying to be friendly to, the clients or the customers that you're helping, right? And it's just like, no, we're not going to pay you for an extra half an hour. You're supposed to be able to get it done in this amount of time. And it's like, okay, like, you gave me way too much tasks then to do in that amount of time. And you expect one person to do all this stuff. And it was just like too much. And there was like no wiggle room for the amount of time given. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like, you need the allowance of however long it takes. That's what you get paid for, is the full time that it takes to do a task. You can't just do 5 minutes of a task and be like, oh yeah, like I vacuumed one section of the floor and so the whole floor got vacuumed. That's not how it works. And then if you're actually using the vacuum cleaner and the vacuum cleaner isn't that good, right? What am I trying to say? Where it's like, oh, it picks up some of the stuff when you pass over it. You have to pass over that same area 3 times to pick up all the stuff on the carpet, Then it's going to take way longer to do your task. But it's like, People expected me to be able to do everything super fast, but the equipment was terrible. It didn't do an effective, good job. And it's like, there, again, no wiggle room for making sure you're actually doing a good job. It's like, okay, just vacuum over the carpet, one area, one pass, and then good enough if it didn't pick everything up. And it's like, well, I could still see that speck of dirt or whatever. Like, it took multiple passes to, vacuum the carpet properly. So, again, it's like here they're just telling you respect authority, obey your parents, obey your grandparents no matter what, and then like instilling you obey your bosses, your pastors, your teachers no matter what. And if they give you a certain amount of time, I'm sorry, that's the amount of time allotted for doing this task or even taking a test. You got to get it done in an hour. You got to do this amount of tasks in an hour. Boom, 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 boom. Well, what if you don't have the energy or the pace to get everything done super fast in an hour, especially if you have an 8-hour shift? Like, like you have to pace yourself, right? So again, it just sometimes you have to speak up for yourself and be like, you're being ridiculous. This is how many tasks you gave me to do. If you want me to do manual labor to do those tasks, then it's actually going to take longer. Now, if for some reason there is some kind of like hypothetically, if there was another world and the other world had this thing where you could push a button and be like, okay, this button allows this task to be completed in a supernatural way where it's just automatically completed, and then it's like, oh, that's amazing. Like 8 hours of work took maybe like an hour of pushing buttons. That saved a lot of time, right? So, like, if that existed, then it's like you can be like, okay, yay, we were able to complete all our tasks. But if you're expecting someone to do the manual labor, you have to allow wiggle room to get chores or stuff done that requires manual labor. It just isn't going to happen in a minute or an hour, depending on how long it takes. So I'm tired of the false expectations that have been put on me in the workplace or doing chores or here, just organize the whole house. I'm sorry, to organize the whole house, you have to be able to do construction. If you were never taught how to do the manual labor of construction, you can just organize and clean the whole house and make sure there's a spot for every little thing, because it's something that you don't know how to do. So you either have to pay someone else to come and do it for you, or you need friends or you need people to volunteer their time and be like, I'm willing to help you organize your house because you want to be more neat and tidy and have a spot for everything. Are you okay with certain things being donated, getting rid of some, extra tools, organizing things, right? So that kind of stuff needs to be done to have a place for everything. You may have to condense your stuff. You may have to let go of stuff that you're not using anymore. So I'm technically willing to do that, but one of the things that's come up is the people who claim to be my parents, they're like, okay, we want to make money off of these objects. These are used materials. And at the garage sales that I've been to in the past, you may sell some of the the used items, but you sold them for pennies or dollars. It wasn't tons of dollars, it may be a few dollars for an item, and they're expecting to get like tons and tons of money for this stuff. But they're like, yeah, we want to sell this and sell this. Well, it's like, well, it's not in mint condition. It looks like it's been used. It looks like it's old. Like, why would you can't sell it for brand new. It hasn't increased its value. If anything, it's become worn down and probably isn't going to last that much longer. So you'd only be able to increase a little bit more money. And then it's like you set up the whole garage sale and everything. You have to advertise for it. You can sit there for, hours wasting your time if no one shows up. So it's like, I don't know, is it really worth it, to do a garage sale or try to sell something on eBay? Like, I have health conditions going on, so I don't have the energy for it. So the energy I have is like throw it in the trash or donate it to a company where it's like, oh, we actually sell used items, and because that will save like time and energy. And then it's like focus on like the organization part. So again, like sometimes they try to put too many tasks on me or too many responsibilities, and it's like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do anything. A part of me just wants to, here, let's throw it in the dumpster, throw it in the dumpster, throw it in the dumpster, let's just throw it away. Because most of the stuff I've handled when it comes to clothes and shoes and socks and equipment, it's like, well, it broke down, it stopped working, you can't use it anymore, it became dead, it like why are you hanging on to all of this stuff if you're not using it, or if it became so old, like some of my shirts have holes in them. It's like, oh, let's give it to somebody else. Why would somebody else want a hole in their shirt? So it's like, no, you throw it in the trash because it has a hole in it. Someone isn't going to want a holy shirt or holy jeans or holy socks, or someone else wearing their underwear that's like gross. So it's just like certain things, just like you need to throw it in the trash, not try to give it away to someone else. Oh, thank you. Oh, I didn't realize there was a hole in this t-shirt and I bought it at a secondhand store, you know? No. But so some things, it's like, are your parents being reasonable with the instructions that they give you? When it's like, oh, we need you, we're gonna redo this room. Well, if you don't know construction and there needs to be a new floor put in and shelving and everything, how are you supposed to do the room yourself if you never learn that skill set? You can't. So literally, there's this room in this house that has been worked on over a span of years, little by little, and no one's willing to actually do the work to actually put in shelves, put in the flooring, um, so you can have an extra bedroom, and it's like a really small room, So it's like my idea was move down to the first floor and get some kind of gym mats, put like sheets, like somehow put like sheets on the bottom or whatever, just flat sheets, and then just or blankets, sheets and blankets, put the sheet down and then the blankets, and then just sleep on these gym mats, and then voila, you have a room, and then you can have a desk and bookshelves and a place to hang out, and like your room can be more spacious at times because it's a really small room. So it's like optimizing the room where it's like, okay, here's your gym mats. Put your blankets and gym mats in a pile, and then it's like, okay, you're you have optimized your space to be more efficient, so you can sleep in here and have a desk and different things. So that was the plan, but months have gone by, probably even a year, and really no progress has been made on the room. They painted the walls, they put drywall up. Yay! But the shelving system didn't get put in. The floor hasn't got put in, but they bought the floor, but they didn't put the floor in. I don't know how to put the floor in, you know? I don't know how to do this stuff. But it's like there was this like vibe that I got. It's like they expected me to do the work. I don't know how, but even though I don't know how, they're expecting me to do the work. So, and then I offered at one point when I did have a job to actually pay for someone to come in and actually do some work. And they're like, no, 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 no. We'll do it ourselves. Well, if you really were going to do it yourself, wouldn't the job have gotten done by now? So it's like I'm not sure how to respect these people who claim to be my parents, because again, there's stuff going on where it's like they say they wanted this room to get done and finished, and it's taking years to renovate the house or make any positive changes to the house because they're not wanting to do all the steps or all the necessary requirements of to like complete a room. And it's really confusing. So it's like I keep coming back to the same conclusion. I don't think we speak the same sounds for the same letters, because there's tons of miscommunication, nothing is getting done, uh, and it's like, what's going on? But you try to ask them questions and communicate, and they just be like, you gotta do what I tell you to do, you know? So it's like, how long is this gonna go on? I do not know. But, I'm not against the whole parental figure or authority figures, but they got to do their job. You expect your teachers to teach you properly. That means teaching you the proper sounds of the alphabet. Um and so you can learn how to read properly, and that means like sound out every letter that you're reading and be like, okay, this is how you read this word because you sounded it out. So if every letter has one distinct sound, then you can do that. But if one letter has multiple sounds, then the way you were taught, it's going to make it so even with reading and communication, you're not going to be an effective communicator, even though you're trying your best. So I have tried my best. I've really, really tried, but I don't know how to do it anymore. So something needs to change in society. I need proper materials given to me so I can relearn how to speak properly. And like, I'm aware it's gonna be hard. I may even cry at times because it's like my theory is it'll be like relearning how to speak all over again just because I was taught the wrong sounds to certain letters. So I will have to repeat and repeat and repeat and ingrain these new sounds with the right letters into my brain. It will take some time. It's not going to be a quick fix, but I'm open to getting those materials wherever they are. I would like them to be sent to me or come to me somehow, but it's like the people who claim to be your parents, you ask for those materials, it's like they don't understand what you're talking about. No, you don't need that. You talk fine. You know, like, do I? You don't even know how to communicate with me. You don't even know how to behave as a loving individual. You're negative all the time. So, wouldn't that be a sign that something's wrong with the language that you're speaking if the majority of people are negative around you all the time and they're like, you're too negative, be more positive, you're too negative, be more positive. Like, well, if you can't communicate with me, then maybe you don't understand what I'm really saying, and you because you taught me wrong as a society as a whole, and so I can't communicate in a super positive way towards you because we don't speak the same sounds for the same letters. So, but so it's like they're saying don't be negative. We want you to be positive, but then they're not going to give you the materials that help teach you how to speak properly, so you can actually communicate that positivity that you're trying to speak, and be everywhere. So, you do have to be careful. And so if someone teaches you wrong, and you want good materials, well, if they're like, use this material, then what are you going to do? You're going to search for the right material until you get it somehow. And then even if they disapprove of it, you are going to learn how to talk properly, because then you're actually going to be able to speak true positivity and positive words and sayings over other individuals, and communication will then therefore become effective. But if you're not on the same page of, if a language got messed up and you're reading certain words and then there's different sounds to those words, if everyone's not on the same page as far as like, this is what we're doing, and they're like, oh yeah, you're talking properly. Well, what words am I talking properly? What are those letters? Or what is the 2 letters or 3-letter combo, the proper letters, where you'd be like, oh yeah, you're definitely talking properly. You definitely sound like you know what you're saying. Um, eh, so what do they think I'm saying? Because they don't, it seems like we don't communicate effectively. And they yell at me and they raise their voice at me and they get frustrated at me. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't think you're a loving parent. I don't think you're my parent at all, because I have a hard time believing that if there is a creator, a designer that designed everyone in some way, that they would purposely give you parents that wouldn't teach you how to speak properly. That doesn't make any sense if you use reason and logic and common sense. So, again, this is a Christian book trying to instill Christian morals, supposed to help you teach the alphabet, but you have to hear the correct sound of each letter of the alphabet for it to actually help you. And then if people are verbally teaching you the alphabet, if they don't actually give you the correct sound of each letter, then it's going to be very hard to learn how to do anything properly and be successful in this world. So let's try to find the ladybugs now. Okay, 1. I don't see any more on this page. I think there's 1 on the hat. 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's about 4 or 5. How many ladybugs did you find? And then the other question, if you are a grandparent or a parent, would you teach your grandchildren? Use this book to teach your grandchildren or your children, or if you knew someone was a Christian and they came for a visit, would you want to use this book to help the Christian child or children learn how to speak the alphabet or instill good morals into them? Feel free to comment in the section below. But as you can see, as I go through this book, it triggers ideas, it triggers thoughts, it triggers experiences from my past. And I don't know how to get over it because I want to implement solutions. And it seems like people don't want solutions implemented. So I want the positivity, but actions and people's behavior and their words really demonstrate they really want the negative, toxic environment. They do not want a positive environment. They say they want a positive environment, but they're not willing to do anything to make positive changes so that there can be a true positive environment. So if you tell someone something, you need to back up what you say with your actions, your words, and your behavior. So obey your parents. Or your grandparents or authority figures. It depends on the situation. If they're not morally correct and they're telling you to do something wrong, then you need to do what is right anyways if you want to keep yourself morally sound and right. And then when it comes to educational materials, if they give you the wrong education materials, you do need to go against what they tell you is the right educational materials and get detail-oriented educational materials that actually teach you all the principles about that will make you successful in different areas of your life. Otherwise, if they just give you like, here's a piece of this puzzle, here's another piece, here's another, there's tons of missing pieces to this, thing that you want to do, then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, the puzzle's never going to be completed because you have missing information. So that's kind of how I feel is the whole educational system is right now. There's so many missing pieces of the puzzle to different subjects that you can't even learn how to be successful in any of the subjects. So it was really a waste of time in some ways to get educated because learning to talk did not help actually help me communicate for real with anyone, because maybe, the proper sounds that I'm speaking belong to different letters, and the words that were given to me really sound completely different. So if I actually learn, all the way from A to Z, all the letters of the alphabet, I'd be like shocked that, oh, everything sounds differently. It'd be like, I'd feel like I'm learning a whole new language. So it'll be interesting to see if I ever get my hands on real educational materials that come with an audio and be like, here's this distinct sound of this letter, all these 26 letters that you have. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes. But that is the plan eventually, is to get a hold of that material, and you can see the before of me talking terribly with the wrong letters, reading with the wrong letters, and then reading with the same letters and actually trying to learn how to talk properly. So that would be the plan for this channel, but I have to get access to those materials. At this point, those materials are denied to me if they do exist. No one wants me to learn how to talk properly for some reason. They're fine with this toxic, negative environment, so I'm trying to do my best to be positive in spite of everyone really wanting to be negative and have a super negative environment where nothing gets done. So, again, I will do my best to be positive. So these videos are positivity, and the allowance of negativity are here because that's how the language really is for me. So until next time, stay tuned for more.